What if everything we think we know about ancient history is wrong? What if thousands of years ago, long before electricity, engines, or modern science, human beings were already building machines, measuring the stars with impossible accuracy, and shaping stone in ways that even today push the limits of engineering? This is not a story of fantasy. It is not a tale of myth or legend. It is a story of ancient technologies that appeared thousands of years too early. For generations, we have been taught a simple narrative, that early humans were primitive, that progress moved slowly, step by step, from crude stone tools to bronze and iron and finally to the modern world. But history is rarely that clean, because scattered across the ancient world are discoveries that do not belong in the time periods where they were found, artifacts that seem misplaced in history, machines and methods that suggest knowledge far beyond what ancient societies were supposed to possess. These discoveries do not simply raise questions. They challenge the very foundation of our understanding of the past. And the first place where this challenge becomes impossible to ignore is stone. Not rough stone, not simple hand-carved tools, but stone shaped with astonishing precision. In ancient Egypt, massive blocks weighing tens, sometimes hundreds of tons were cut, transported, and assembled would seem so perfect that even today, a razor blade cannot slide between them. At the Great Pyramid of Giza, granite blocks were quarried hundreds of kilometers away, then shaped with smooth surfaces, sharp internal angles, and drilled holes that show spiral markings, marks consistent with high-speed rotation. Granite is harder than iron, yet these cuts are cleaner than what many modern power tools can achieve. There are no records of advanced drills, no evidence of industrial machinery, and no clear explanation for how such precision was possible using copper tools and sand alone. The stonework appears too advanced, and Egypt is not alone. Across the ocean in South America, the ancient city of Machu Picchu rises from the mountains, built with stone blocks so tightly fitted that mortar was unnecessary. The walls flex during earthquakes, absorbing shock through a level of engineering that modern architects still study today. At Sacsayhuaman, stones weighing over 100 tons were carved into complex, interlocking shapes, each block uniquely fitted to the next like a three-dimensional puzzle. These stones were not poured. They were not cast. They were carved. But with what tools? There are no iron chisels, no steel blades, no machines found that could explain this level of craftsmanship. Only stone shaped as if the builders understood principles of engineering far ahead of their time. And stone is only the beginning, because in the ruins of ancient civilizations, we find something even more unsettling. Technology that doesn't just challenge engineering, but challenges time itself. Thousands of years before the modern age, long before the idea of electricity entered the human imagination, ancient civilizations were already experimenting with forces we still struggle to fully understand. In the ruins near modern-day Baghdad, archaeologists uncovered an object that should not exist in the ancient world. It was a small clay jar. Inside it, a copper cylinder. At its center, an iron rod. When researchers filled the jar with a mild acidic liquid, something unexpected happened. It produced an electrical charge. This object, now known as the Baghdad Battery, is dated to nearly 2,000 years ago, long before Benjamin Franklin, long before wires, generators, or power grids. No ancient texts describe its use. No diagrams explain its purpose. Some believe it was used for electroplating, coating metals with thin layers of gold or silver. Others suggest it powered religious rituals, creating small shocks to inspire awe. Or perhaps its purpose has been completely lost. What matters is this. Electricity may not be a modern discovery at all. It may be a rediscovery. And once we accept that possibility, the ancient world begins to look very different, because electricity is only one piece of the puzzle. In ancient Greece, around the 1st century BCE, a violent storm wrecked a Roman ship near the island of Antikythera. When divers explored the wreck centuries later, they recovered statues, pottery, and something no one could explain, a corroded lump of bronze. At first, it was ignored, but as it was carefully examined, gears emerged. Dozens of them, interlocking, precisely cut, arranged in a complexity that rivaled 18th century clockwork. This was the Antikythera mechanism. When reconstructed, it revealed itself to be an astronomical computer, a machine capable of predicting solar eclipses, lunar cycles, planetary movements, and even the dates of ancient Olympic Games. It used differential gearing, a technology thought to have been invented nearly 2,000 years later. There is nothing else like it from the ancient world. No prototypes, no instruction manuals, no evolutionary trail. It appears fully formed, impossibly advanced, then vanishes from history. How does a civilization invent a machine this complex and then forget it entirely? The mystery deepens when we look to ancient maps. In 1513, an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis compiled a world map using older sources. What he produced shocked modern scholars. The map accurately depicts the coastlines of Africa and South America, including details only visible from the air. Even more disturbing, it appears to show Antarctica, centuries before it was officially discovered and without its ice cover. No ancient civilization should have been able to survey the Earth from above. No one should have known what lay beneath Antarctic ice. Yet the map exists, and Piri Reis himself wrote that he copied it from much older charts from a lost age. If ancient people could map the world with such accuracy, what else did they know? Because when we turn our attention to time itself, the questions become even more unsettling. In ancient India, texts like the Surya Sadhana describe the length of the solar year with astonishing precision, accurate to within seconds of modern measurements. They speak of planetary cycles, eclipses, and cosmic distances, using numbers so vast and precise that even modern astronomers pause in disbelief. These calculations were not guesses. They were the result of careful observation, mathematics, and a deep understanding of celestial mechanics. But how were these measurements made without telescopes, without digital clocks, without modern instruments? The ancient world appears to have possessed knowledge that should not have been possible. And yet, this knowledge keeps appearing across continents, across cultures, across thousands of years, as if fragments of a greater understanding survived while the rest was forgotten. And if that is true, then the greatest question is still ahead. What else did ancient civilizations build that we have not yet fully understood? Long before the rise of modern science, ancient builders were shaping the landscape itself, guided by knowledge that feels far too precise for its time. High above the plains of southern England stands Stonehenge. To the casual eye, it is a circle of massive stones. But to those who study it closely, Stonehenge is a machine. Each stone is positioned with mathematical intent. The monument aligns perfectly with the summer solstice sunrise and the winter solstice sunset. The shadows fall exactly where they should, year after year, century after century. This was not coincidence. It was calculation. The builders of Stonehenge tracked celestial cycles over generations, encoding their observations into stone, without metal tools, without writing, without recorded mathematics. Some researchers believe Stonehenge functioned as an ancient calendar, capable of predicting eclipses and seasonal changes vital for agriculture and survival. Others suggest it was something more, a resonance chamber, a healing site, a place where sound, stone, and sky interacted in ways we are only beginning to study. Because when modern experiments were conducted, the stones were found to amplify certain frequencies, creating vibrations that can affect the human body. Stonehenge was not just built, it was tuned, and similar structures exist across the world. In Malta, ancient temples older than the pyramids contain chambers designed to amplify sound. A single human voice can echo with powerful resonance, vibrating through the stone and into the bones of those standing inside. In Peru, at Chavindahuantar, underground passages were engineered to manipulate sound and water, creating overwhelming sensory experiences that transformed rituals into something almost supernatural. These civilizations understood acoustics. They understood resonance. They understood how architecture could influence the human mind, knowledge we associate with modern physics. And then there is the mystery of flight. High above the jungles of Colombia, archaeologists discovered small gold artifacts created by the Quimbaya people over 1,000 years ago. At first glance, they appear to be animals or insects. But when engineers examined them closely, they noticed something strange. Wings with correct aerodynamic angles, vertical tail fins, fuselage-like bodies. These shapes should not fly, and yet, when scaled up and tested, they do. Modern replicas, built with engines, glide smoothly through the air. These are not crude decorations. They follow the principles of aerodynamics, principles that should not have been known until the modern age. Were these symbolic? Were they inspired by something observed? Or do they represent a knowledge of flight that history has erased? Because this is not an isolated case. Ancient Sanskrit texts speak of flying machines called vimanas, capable of traveling vast distances, even between worlds. Descriptions include metals, engines, and power sources that sound disturbingly mechanical. Mainstream historians dismiss these accounts as myth, but myths often preserve memory long after the truth is forgotten. And as we dig deeper into ancient ruins, a pattern begins to emerge. Across the globe, civilizations separated by oceans and millennia share strikingly similar knowledge. Astronomy, engineering, mathematics, acoustics, as if they were all drawing from the same source, or inheriting fragments of a much older understanding. And that raises a dangerous question. What if advanced knowledge existed long before recorded history and was lost? There's one ancient technology that measures something far more difficult than stone, sound, or flight: time itself. Deep within the ancient world, civilizations track time with an accuracy that should not have been possible. In the ruins of ancient Egypt, obelisks were not just monuments. They were precision instruments. Their shadows moved across carefully measured stone surfaces, dividing the day into equal parts. Season after season, year after year, these shadows revealed the rhythm of the earth with remarkable consistency. But Egypt went further. The ancient Egyptians calculated the length of the solar year at 365.242 days, almost identical to modern measurements. This value is so precise that even the Gregorian calendar, introduced thousands of years later, differs by only fractions of a day. How did they measure this without telescopes, without atomic clocks? They watched the sky. They tracked the heliacal rising of Sirius, aligning their calendar with the flooding of the Nile, a natural event so predictable it formed the backbone of Egyptian civilization. This was not primitive observation. It was long-term scientific data collection. And Egypt was not alone. Across the ocean, the Maya developed one of the most accurate calendar systems ever created. They calculated the solar year to 365.2420 days, even closer than the Gregorian calendar used today. They tracked Venus with astonishing precision, predicting its cycles with mathematical certainty. Their inscriptions record eclipse tables, planetary alignments, and long count dates that stretch tens of thousands of years into the past and future. This was not superstition. This was astronomy. But the deeper mystery is not how they tracked time. It is why. Because these calendars were not just tools for farming or ritual. They were machines designed to synchronize humanity with cosmic cycles. Time, for these civilizations, was not linear. It was mechanical. Which brings us to a discovery buried beneath the sands of history. In ancient China, records describe a mechanical device created nearly 2,000 years ago, a seismograph. Designed by the scholar Zhang Hong, it could detect earthquakes hundreds of kilometers away. The device featured dragon heads holding bronze balls. When seismic waves passed through the earth, internal mechanisms caused the ball to drop from the mouth of the dragon facing the direction of the quake. This machine worked. Modern reconstructions confirm its accuracy. It detected invisible forces moving through the earth, something modern science only fully understood centuries later. No electricity, no sensors, no digital instruments, just engineering. And then there's the question of lenses. In ancient Assyria, a crystal object known as an emerald lens was discovered. It functions as a magnifying glass. Some suggest it was used for fire starting. Others believe it assisted in detailed craftsmanship or astronomical observation. But if ancient civilizations used lenses, then the sky would not have been distant. It would have been examined, studied, measured. And once again, history offers no explanation for how this knowledge spread or where it began. Because when technologies appear suddenly, fully formed, and without clear development, It suggests something uncomfortable. Inheritance. Knowledge passed down from an earlier source. A source we no longer remember. And if time, earthquakes, and the heavens could be measured with such precision, what else were ancient civilizations capable of? As the evidence grows, a pattern becomes impossible to ignore. These technologies did not appear randomly. They emerged at the very foundations of civilization, as if ancient humanity began its recorded journey already carrying fragments of forgotten knowledge. In Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, clay tablets tell a strange story. The Sumerians used a number system based on 60, a system so advanced that we still use it today to measure time in angles. 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 360 degrees in a circle. This was not arbitrary. Base 60 mathematics is highly efficient for complex calculations, especially in astronomy. The Sumerians mapped the movements of the planets, recorded eclipses, and tracked celestial cycles with precision that would challenge later civilizations. They named the planets. They understood retrograde motion. They divided the sky into constellations. All of this more than 5,000 years ago. And then there is metallurgy. Ancient cultures work with metals in ways that still puzzle modern scientists. In the Near East, steel artifacts have been found dating far earlier than the accepted invention of steel. In India, the iron pillar of Delhi has stood for over 1,600 years without rusting. Its composition includes a precise balance of phosphorus that creates a self-protecting oxide layer. This is not accidental. It reflects an understanding of material science that should not have existed at the time. No modern coatings, no industrial processes, just knowledge. Even more mysterious is the discovery of advanced surgical techniques in the ancient world. In South America, skulls have been found with clean, healed openings, evidence of successful brain surgery. Trepanation was performed with survival rates that, in some cases, rivaled those of 19th century Europe. In ancient India, medical texts describe surgical tools, procedures, and even forms of anesthesia, using herbal compounds. They understood anatomy. They understood infection. They understood healing. All without microscopes. All without modern medicine. And then there are the ancient batteries of knowledge we have not yet decoded. In Egypt, inscriptions describe machines powered by the breath of the gods. In Greece, legends speak of self-moving statues and automated temples. Heron of Alexandria described steam-powered devices, including a rotating sphere driven by heated water. This was the world's first steam engine, but it was used for entertainment, not industry. The idea appeared, then disappeared. And this may be the most disturbing pattern of all. Advanced ideas emerge. They function. They work. And then they vanish. Civilizations collapse. Libraries burn. Knowledge fragments scatter across time. We inherit the ruins, but not the instructions, which leads to the final question historians are often unwilling to ask. What if ancient technology did not evolve slowly, but survived catastrophes? What if advanced knowledge existed before the last great resets of human history? Floods, earthquakes, climate shifts, events remembered not as history, but as myth. And if that is true, then the technologies we find today may not be inventions at all. They may be echoes. Say continue when you're ready for the final part. If ancient technologies are echoes, then the past we see is only the surface of a much deeper story. Across cultures separated by oceans and millennia, there are shared memories of great disasters, floods that swallowed cities, fires that fell from the sky, a time when the world was reset. In Mesopotamia, the Epic of Gilgamesh tells of a great flood that erased a civilization. In India, ancient texts speak of ages that rise and fall in cycles. In the Americas, legends describe previous worlds destroyed before the present one began. These stories are often dismissed as myth, but myths are not random. They are memory shaped by time. And memory suggests that something existed before and was lost. If advanced knowledge once existed, even in fragments, it would explain the sudden appearance of technologies with no clear origin. Stoneworking that seems machine-made, astronomy that rivals modern calculations, devices that behave like computers, batteries, engines, and sensors. not inventions from nothing, but remnants of something older. Perhaps ancient civilizations were not climbing from ignorance. Perhaps they were rebuilding, each culture preserving what it could, passing fragments forward through ritual, symbol, and stone. Over time, the original purpose faded. The knowledge became sacred, then symbolic, then forgotten, until only the artifacts remained, silent, unexplained, out of place. And this is where modern humanity stands today, surrounded by the ruins of a past we do not fully understand. We call them temples, monuments, artifacts, but perhaps they were also machines, instruments, libraries carved in stone, designed not just to survive time, but to speak across it. The ancient world may not have been primitive, it may have been interrupted, and the technologies that appear thousands of years too early may be reminders, not how far we come, but of how much has been forgotten. Because the greatest mystery of ancient technology is not what was built, it is why it was lost, and whether we are now rediscovering knowledge humanity once already had, or repeating a cycle we still do not remember. History does not always move forward. Sometimes it starts again. The story does not end with artifacts and ruins, because the most unsettling evidence of all is not something ancient humans built. It is something they remembered. Across the ancient world, there are warnings, encoded not in equations, but in stories. Plato wrote of Atlantis, a technologically advanced civilization that fell in a single day and night of catastrophe. Not a primitive society, but a powerful one, skilled in engineering, architecture, and science. Egyptian priests told Solon that humanity had been destroyed and rebuilt many times before, that knowledge rose and was wiped away again and again. In India, ancient texts describe cycles of time so vast they dwarf modern history, ages of creation, destruction, and rebirth, each cycle ending with disaster, each new age beginning with survivors who remembered only fragments of what came before. Even in the Americas, the Maya spoke of previous suns, earlier worlds destroyed before the present one existed. These cultures never met. They never shared languages, and yet they shared the same message. Civilization is fragile, knowledge is temporary, and technology does not guarantee survival. If advanced technologies existed in the deep past, they would not need to be global or industrial. They could have been isolated, localized, specialized, a coastal civilization wiped out by rising seas, a mountain culture erased by earthquakes, a knowledge center lost to fire, flood, or time. Stone would remain, metal would corrode, machines would fail, but myths would survive. And perhaps that is why ancient builders carved knowledge into monuments that could not easily be destroyed, aligned with stars, anchored to the earth, encoded in geometry, proportion, and sound, because stone does not burn, and memory carved into the planet itself is harder to erase. Today, modern science is slowly catching up. We are rediscovering acoustic engineering in ancient temples, precision machining in stonework, mathematical constants embedded in architecture. What was once dismissed as coincidence is now being measured. What was once called impossible is now being reconsidered. And the timeline of human capability is quietly being rewritten, not by speculation, but by evidence. Yet the greatest mystery remains unanswered. If advanced knowledge once existed, why did it disappear completely? Why was it not passed down intact? The answer may be uncomfortable, because technology alone does not preserve civilization. Wisdom does. And history suggests that when knowledge advances faster than understanding, collapse follows. Perhaps ancient civilizations reached heights we are only now approaching. Perhaps they learned lessons we have yet to learn. And perhaps the technologies that appear thousands of years too early are not meant to impress us, but to warn us that progress is not permanent, that intelligence does not equal wisdom, and that forgetting the past may be the most dangerous mistake of all, because the ruins of ancient technology are not asking us to marvel, they are asking us to remember. And the final question they leave behind is not how advanced the ancients were, but whether we will do any better. Human history is not as simple as we were taught. across the ancient world. Technologies appear that do not belong in their time. Stone cut with machine-like precision. Calendars more accurate than those used today. Machines that calculate the heavens, detect earthquakes, harness electricity, manipulate sound, and shape metal with scientific intent. These were not isolated accidents. They appeared across continents, in civilizations separated by oceans and thousands of years. Again and again, advanced knowledge emerges suddenly, functions perfectly, and then vanishes. This pattern suggests that ancient humanity may not have been climbing slowly from ignorance, but rebuilding from collapse. Fragment of lost understanding passed down through myth, ritual, and stone, while the original context was erased by time, disaster, and human forgetfulness. Ancient technologies that seem too advanced may not be evidence of fantasy, but reminders that intelligence alone does not preserve civilization, that progress without wisdom is fragile, and that knowledge, once lost, can take millennia to recover. The ruins we study today may not exist to impress us. They may exist to warn us. If you found this journey into humanity's forgotten past thought-provoking, support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you don't miss future documentaries. Share this with someone who questions the official timeline of history, and let us know in the comments, which ancient technology do you believe is the greatest mystery of all? Because the past does not finish speaking, and the more we listen, the more it changes everything we thought we knew.